So basically I'm trying to say the more plants you have, the better, sort of. My husband might say differently, but anyway, we're talking. Hi, it's Kristen. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're gonna be talking all about how to care for the Sansevieria plant, also known as the snake plant. I have a free printable care guide on my website, raisingnobles.com, and I'll have a link to it in the description down below. There are many different varieties of Sansevieria. They vary in color on the leaves, variation in the variegation. Even the shape of the leaves can be different from variety to variety. They're a really versatile plant. They're really beautiful and easy to take care of. So I'm going to tell you all about how to have the happiest Sansevieria plants that you can. Let's talk about picking out your Sansevieria plant at the nursery. You want to look mostly for, on the foliage and make sure that there are no brown spots. Does it look like it's drooping or wilting? Little spots on the tips of the leaves are an indication that it hasn't been properly cared for. If it's easy and if you feel comfortable, you can take a peek at the roots. Most places are fine with you doing this before you buy. You just lift it gently out of its pot and look at the roots and just make sure that it is not kind of in a state of decay, like it's not like brown or goopy. You want them to look healthy, kind of lightly colored, and that will give you a good indication that it's a healthy plant and will likely thrive in your home. The next thing you want to do when you get it home is repot it into something a little bit bigger than the nursery pot that it came in. I just got this one recently, so I haven't done this yet, so I can show you. It came with this little terracotta pot, but this is what the little nursery pot is, what it comes with. And this will have drainage holes in the bottom, but if you want your plant to grow bigger, then you need to give it more space to grow and expand its roots. So generally I like to size up between 2 and 4 inches in the pot that it came in. So if it came in a 4-inch pot, I would move up to a 6-inch or an 8-inch pot, just depending on where it's gonna go and how big I want the pot to be. Something really important for most plants, but especially the Sansevieria, is that the pot that you move it to has drainage holes in the bottom. If it doesn't have a drainage hole in the bottom, the water will build up and the roots can rot, and that will almost definitely kill your plant. It's pretty difficult to kill a Sansevieria plant, but one way to kill it really quickly is to overwater it and have it sitting in a pool of water where it's unable to drain, and the roots will rot and it'll die. Make sure you have a nice drainage hole, get a larger pot, and then get a nice well-draining soil for this, a cactus mixed with a cactus mix mixed with a regular potting mix, something like that is perfect for these types of plants. And then you can go ahead and transfer it into the larger pot. Next, you want to pick a good spot in your home for your plant. So these like indirect light, bright. I feel like most indoor plants like bright indirect light for the most part, but these can handle lower light conditions, so you don't need to put these up in a window. The way I like to gauge whether the room has enough bright indirect light for the Sansevieria plant or many other plants is if I can read a book in there for like 6 hours out of the day without needing to turn on a light, then that's a good indication that there's enough light in there for the plant to thrive. I mentioned a little bit about how it doesn't like to be overwatered and it doesn't like to be sitting in water. It doesn't like its feet wet, so to speak. That's what my grandmother used to tell me when she would give me plants. She was really into plants, and when she would give them to me, she would say, this one doesn't like its feet wet, and I always knew, like, okay, it needs to drain really well, and I need to not overwater this because it doesn't like its roots to be wet. So for watering, this is very, very simple. I water mine about every 2 to 4 weeks. I've even waited longer and never had any negative effects on the plant. So I like to just check it by sticking my finger into the soil a few inches, and if it's dry, I'll give it a little bit of water. This does not need a ton of water. Just get the soil nice and moist, and that is good. You don't want to overwater. It's not happy with that. Some signs that your plant is being overwatered is drooping leaves. So this is actually a type of succulent, which means that it holds water up in its leaves. And so if you are overwatering it, it's pulling in too much water and the leaves will start to droop and fall down. It'll start to discolor and maybe get like a little bit mushy. And so that's a sign you're overwatering. Pull back on the water majorly, let it dry out completely in between waterings. And if you do that, you should be good. The next thing I want to talk about with the Sansevieria plant is fertilizing it. So this is something that not many people think about when they're bringing an indoor plant into their home. The easiest way to explain why your plants need fertilizer is that if they were growing in their natural habitat, or even just like the petunias you have planted in your front flower bed or whatever, they can reach their roots down into the soil and get the nutrients and things that they need to grow and thrive. Your indoor plant that only has a very limited amount of soil in its pot can only get the nutrients that you give it, basically. And so it'll use up all the nutrients in this soil pretty quickly. So fertilizing is the key to having thriving plants that are happy and healthy and look beautiful. So I like to use this organic indoor houseplant food. It's by a brand called Espoma. I get mine from Amazon. It has a really simple measuring tool in the top of the bottle. Just pour it into your watering can and then fill it up with water according to the directions, and then I take it around and fertilize my plants this way. I only fertilize my snake plants once a month. So most of my other plants get fertilized twice a month or every 2 weeks. But I will skip my Sansevieria plants and do that just once a month because they don't like a ton of water. And if I was doing it every 2 weeks, it might be a little bit too much for them. So definitely want to fertilize your plants. It might seem like a lot of work, but it's really not that big of a deal. Just put it on your calendar every couple weeks, or in this case, once a month. Give it a little fertilizer and you'll be a lot happier for it. All right, let's talk about propagating your snake plant. So propagating plants is a really awesome way to expand your indoor plant collection. If you're like me and you are a little bit obsessed with plants in general, but indoor plants have recently become big in my home. I have a lot of them and I love them so much. They're actually really good for you, good for the air in your home. These specifically are NASA certified clean air plants. They actually filter toxins and things out of the air in your home. They help you sleep better. There's like a whole bunch of benefits to having plants in your home, but that's besides the point. So basically I'm trying to say the more plants you have, the better, sort of. My husband might say differently, but anyway, we're talking about propagating. So to propagate your snake plant, it's really, really simple. You're gonna pull it out of its pot, which I'm not gonna really do with this one, but all you're gonna do is just divide the plant up. So depending on how many different plants you wanna get out of it, if you have a larger plant, you could probably get 5 or 6 out of it. For this smaller one, you can already see that it's separated in 2 nice little plants. So I could very easily pull that apart and then just plant them each in their own separate pots, gift one to a friend, keep it and put it somewhere else in your home or whatever. But I love how easy it is to propagate the Sansevieria plants. I think I've covered everything for how to care for your Sansevieria plant. Another thing that's nice to do is to get a damp cloth periodically and just wipe the leaves and get the dust off. That's the same for every houseplant that you have. It just helps them to be able to take in the sun a lot easier, which is of course essential for them to grow and thrive. So I think I've covered everything. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below. I hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.